Hey, everybody. So glad you could make it with us tonight. My name's April Baer, and I host Stateside on Michigan Public, which you hear afternoons at 3 and evenings at 8 o'clock. And we are really, really so glad that you all could join us here to converse and commune with a guy who I just feel like has been with us all the way the past few years. Sam Sanders was a politics correspondent for NPR during the 2015 campaign. I think that's when a lot of you probably first heard his voice. He co-founded the NPR Politics podcast and then went on to found It's Been a Minute, the show and podcast that is still on to this day. And even though Sam has moved on to other projects, Brittany Luce is holding it down. And I mean, that show, did it not get us through the pandemic in so many ways? That was essential listening for me. He decided to try some different things. He was doing Intuit on Vulture and Vox Media for a while. You might have heard his podcast Vibe Check. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful show that he started up with his friends Saeed Jones and Zach Stafford. And now he has made the move back into the warm, welcoming pool of public media. He's hosting the Sam Sanders Show on KCRW out of Santa Monica. Everybody, please give a big welcome back to Sam Sanders. Sam, get in here.
All right. Hi.
Why?
Thank you so much for having me, friend. It's good to be here.
It's so good to see you.
Yeah.
Wait. What is that? What is that stuff outside your window? Like, where you're in California, right?
Yeah. There's sunshine and no snow and a tree with green leaves on it. Who knew?
Could you move the computer back out through the window so we could all just
bathe in that? It's funny. I was just saying today, it's been too cold. It was in the 50s last night. I don't like that.
You guys, who's gonna tell him? Who's gonna tell him?
I know.
It has been bad here. My kid's school just got called off again tomorrow.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't envy you and your weather right now.
But I love the sun for you. That is beautiful.
Thank you.
Can I just first off say congratulations on the show? It sounds fantastic.
Oh, I'm so happy it's in the world. I'm so happy that stations like Michigan Public have decided to air it. It just feels good to be doing this again. I ventured off and did a bunch of different podcast projects over the last few years, and they all felt good. But there's something kind of awesome about hopping in your car to run some errands, and then you turn the radio on and you hear someone you talk to. That's pretty great. I like it. Yeah.
I mean, most respect of all for just not, even though things were going well, just sort of following that voice that tells you to do something different, something creative. So, I mean, hands up for that. And thank you for that, because I think when people, when creative people do that, we get better things for all of us that way.
Oh, yeah. And I tell a lot of people, part of what I learned in having a lot of career shifts over the last several years was how to work in different kind of spaces. I've worked in now for-profit spaces and nonprofit spaces, but I also have gotten better about making decisions for myself. And that alone has been worth the journey. I think the same reality for people entering established fields like journalism. We're taught that when we enter these fields and enter these prestigious places, that we don't know what we're doing. The powers that be do what they say to do, and then you'll advance. And so you end up in these situations where you get really good at something, but you don't get really good at trusting your own gut and doing what you want to do. And every time that I've done a thing where I've made my own choice and made my own decision, I've gotten better at it. And that feels nice. And the crazy thing about making your own decisions, we think that if we choose for ourselves, we'll choose wrong because we don't know enough. But spoiler, when you let other folks choose for you, they can choose wrong too. So make your own decisions.
I seriously don't think anybody ever got to the end of the life and was lying there with the light streaming through the window. I wish I'd followed the playbook more.
Exactly.
Why couldn't I have followed the playbook?
Exactly. Yeah. Also, we live in this era of media flux. The playbook doesn't work anymore. What
Yeah.
worked in
Oh,
news
seriously.
media 10 years ago, it doesn't work anymore. I covered politics in the 2016 election for president. I was following Bernie and Trump and Hillary in 2015 and 2016. And the way that I covered that election, it wouldn't work now. It wouldn't work
Yeah.
now, right? Every few years, it seems, in this era of expanding and big and confusing internet, the way things work changes every 2 or 3 years. So knowing that, just do all kinds of stuff. Why not?
Yeah. I just want to remind everybody who's in here in the chat with us that there's a comments option on the right side of your screen. Please do bring in your questions for Sam. We're going to talk about all kinds of things, and we got one already checking in from
Okay.
Drummond Island. Good job, KD. KD, we appreciate you very much. Everybody who's watching is welcome to participate in this conversation. We're looking forward to hearing what you want to know from Sam. If I may just begin with a very brief history of my experience of Sam Sanders, A Drama in 3 Acts.
Oh my goodness.
First time I heard the name Sam Sanders, I was working at Oregon Public Broadcasting. And I think I was either like hugely pregnant or very recently delivered and, kind of like, going through my job as a, city and local governments correspondent. And the network had just, they do this sometimes. NPR will like send someone who they like out to the bureaus and probably someplace weird to just see how they do. And there was this incredibly nice guy who was incredibly smart. Like, you fit in great in Portland, but also you just had so much more energy because, people go to Portland to relax. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And so that was the first thing. And then you were back in DC and doing those campaign assignments in 2016. And I was like, they put Sam on. Oh my God, is he going to, I was concerned.
Oh, thank you.
You were there in all those, I think people forget about Trump rallies and like,
They were wild. I was at a
you
few
had.
of them. They were crazy. Yeah.
And then there was this funny thing that happened 2 days after the 2016 election. There was this big conference, the Third Coast Audio Festival.
Oh, yeah.
And there were a bunch of just podcasters and news people and station people from all over North America in the room. And they had like Bob Garfield from On the Media up there saying, "What the just happened?" And Zoe Chase from This American Life being like, "I don't know, man, it's not good." And Sam was like, "I tried to tell you." you were on this panel. And my gosh, is there anything the show that you work on now is overtly not politics. It is mercifully that space where we go to escape.
Yeah.
But can I just ask what this last 2024 campaign brought up for you?
Yeah, I think so much of what Donald Trump represented was and is a style of politics that confounds the established political press. I remember trying to cover him and tell stories about him, and I never knew if it was a joke or serious. I never knew if the rules that were there mattered at all. And I never knew if we were talking about this guy in the best way to keep the public not just informed, but, help preserve the institutions that we cover. And the thinking was maybe that all kinds of people learned all kinds of lessons from Trump's first term. But when I think about the way in which he's covered, I'm not sure. It's very hard to cover someone like Donald Trump because several things are happening at once. Every day, a few 3-alarm fires are started. And every day, you're not quite sure where and how you'll get the truth or what you'll be told will be the truth. So that's really hard. That makes a hard environment for covering politics. But I'm not sure that as a whole, our political media industrial complex has gotten better at responding to those issues. And on top of that, we've seen every major newsroom that has been grappling with those questions also have to grapple with big existential ones. Do we have enough money? Do people still want to read and listen to and watch journalism? What is the future of this industry? All this to say, it's a really hard time to be covering politics. But I'm not sure that if I were covering it now, that I would know how to do it. How do you do it? How do you do it?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of newsrooms sort of fooling around. Washington Post was one of the big ones that showed us how, to like split up a story into several TikToks or something.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
do you find that satisfying, that kind of coverage?
I find that once you get to the actual story, to the actual podcast episode, to the actual journalistic and investigative work that these journalists have spent so much time making, it's beautiful. The hardest part now is outmaneuvering our attention spans to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you or I or anyone we know opens their phone, there's an infinite amount of content bombarding us. And journalism, good journalism, is not just competing against a music stream or a TV show. It's competing against every short form video ever made that exists in an endless scroll on TikTok or Instagram. And so when we make our work now as journalists, we're competing with cooking videos,
Mm-hmm.
with ASMR content, with who knows what. And I think that has been perhaps even more challenging than the politics of Donald Trump.
I don't want to minimize what
Go
you're
ahead.
saying, but that baby I gave birth to is now 15 years old. And
Wow.
and
Wow.
I will say, like, she has a way, like, we sit down at the dinner table and I'm trying to, my husband and I are like trying to talk to her about what's going on in American politics. And she's like,
Yeah.
the US government is 7 trillion in debt and Donald Trump is a bleep, 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 bleep. What do you, can we move on? Can I tell you about what happened at the basketball game today? So
it's hard.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe the message can still be got across.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're also in this environment where it seems like when you do want to check into the news, the only stories and coverage you see is of these big national stories, which are very important. But you work for a public radio station that is rooted in local and statewide coverage as well as national, and both are important. I think a lot of people don't feel agency right now because they don't know how to change national politics. The election is done. There isn't one for about a year. And it feels like Congress doesn't do anything. And what do I do? But as soon as you start to look around your neighborhood and your communities, all of these national political issues are playing out in smaller ways locally, and you can get involved. And so there's this challenge on top of making sure that people care enough about the news, period. It's reminding them that everything happening on a larger scale is happening on a smaller scale on their street. And they can be proactively involved in that, And I mean, to thank God for public radio that is still trying to educate listeners about both kind of stories, big ones and small ones.
It was crazy. I went back and I listened to an older episode of Vibe Check, and it was the first pod that you guys recorded right after the 2024 election. And it was crazy. So this is 1 year ago, right from now. And it was crazy. You guys nailed it. Like you talked about, what you were expecting and what you were concerned about. And, somebody was talking, I think Saeed mentioned the violence of ICE enforcement and his concerns about that. The personal enrichment of people in the administration came up, and threats to queer people and all manner of other, Black and brown people and people of color in this country. I wish you weren't right, but you were prescient for sure.
Yeah. Well, and everything Donald Trump is doing right now, he said he was going to do. Yeah. Save for like Greenland and the Kennedy Center. Where did those things come from? But
he loves musicals, Sam. He loves them.
He loves them. But on the big stuff, this was all in Project 2025, and these were things that he was grousing about in his first term. So we're also in this weird position where you wake up every day, and if you check the headlines on politics, you're like, oh my God, this feels crazy. Like, what is going on? What is going on? But then if you stop and just take a beat, it's like, oh, I guess the prophecies were fulfilled.
Yeah. What's it like in Los Angeles these days? I mean, LA has had a year as much as anybody else has.
Yeah, it is. I think that it's very easy to imagine all Angelinos living in paradise, especially when you chime in for a video chat in January, and I've got this behind me. But we really have been dealing with an unholy trinity of bad stuff this year. And thankfully, I've been able to talk about it, hopefully in some constructive ways on my show. But, in January, it's been about a year since crazy wildfires that destroyed large swaths of LA County and got us pretty close to Sunset Boulevard. We're
Iconic
still dealing with that
places.
recovery.
Iconic.
Yeah,
We kept
iconic
seeing
places.
these like, Malibu's like on fire. All these.
Yeah,
God, it was crazy.
yeah, it's crazy. So we had that going on. We are still dealing with the implosion of Hollywood as we know it. So many jobs that professionals in LA County relied on and were stalwarts of this economy for decades are going away. Writing jobs are going away. Production jobs are going away. Shows that are being filmed are not being filmed in LA anymore for various reasons. And so Hollywood as an industry is still struggling and hasn't really recovered from the strike that occurred maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, national politics became very local this year. We're watching a truly tense situation in Minnesota with ICE agents and ICE raids across that state and through Minneapolis. But LA was first, and we still feel it. And there are still people on the ground responding to spontaneous ICE raids in Los Angeles. So it has been a wild ride. But what I'm always heartened by in LA when I'm here, which is most of the time these days, once we get outside and get to be with each other outside, we kind of make it work. I was able to spend some time at the beach with some friends this weekend and forget about that for a bit. And it's pretty great. I think, New Yorkers have a reputation for faking mean, but actually being very nice and helpful. Angelinos are thought to be space cadets. We're just one with the earth. Whenever things are troubling to us, just put us outside next to a palm tree, next to a beach, next to a hike. We're going to figure it out. So I am continually grounded and centered by the natural beauty that I get to exist in.
And we love you for
Safe
that.
For the traffic.
We love you for that. Someone needs to be feeling those feelings right now.
Yeah.
Sam, what made you decide to dive back in and to do so with KCRW?
Oh, they called me. There was no master plan. When I left NPR, there was no master plan. When I started Vibe Check and the Vulture Show Into It, there was no master plan. It was kind of just, all right, I've been doing this for a pretty long time. People know me, I know people, and things that show up, I'll say yes or say no based on if I want to do it. So I just had some free time. The show that I was doing with Vulture Into It, we ended that, and people who knew me knew that I had more time on my hands. So the day after we announced that show was wrapping, Arnie Seipel, who runs content at KSRW, called me and said, "Do you want to make a show for us?" That was it. I said, I like you. Arnie actually was one of my politics editors 10 years ago when I was covering politics. And he ended up moving from NPR headquarters to LA. So we reconnected in a really great way. But no, I have never, ever had a big 2, 5, 10-year plan about the career. For me, it's just like, everything you do, try to learn something, and everywhere you are, try to not be an asshole.
Well, I feel like whenever someone I love gets a show with their own name on it, that sparks joy.
Thank you. It's funny. People are like, wow, that's great. Your name is the show. And I was like, my name is the name of the show because I was out of names. I had named several shows at this
I
point.
named it Spin a Minute.
Yes, I
into
named
it.
Vibe Check. I named into it. And it's just like, I don't have, it's funny. The process of making a name for a podcast is crazy hard.
People don't realize, like, there
They
are
don't
whole ad
realize.
agencies that specialize in that.
And as soon as you have a good name, you realize 5 other people have it. And then you got to get legal involved. And it's the whole thing. I'm telling you, the easiest part of my job right now is doing the actual interviews. Those are fun. The hardest part is the stuff like deciding what you're going to name a podcast. So yeah, I will never, hopefully, fingers crossed, I never have to name another one. This would be a nice forever home.
How did you, and I assume Arnie and the rest of the team, how did you hone down on what you wanted, what you had to offer people right now? I mean, the stuff that you've worked on has always, it's always been about the culture, and it's always been about, the culture as it speaks to you. But it's like, this is probably the most overt pop culture thing that we've received from you. How did you get to that is the mantra?
Yeah, when I was covering politics, my official beat before I was just on the trail was politics and pop culture and the intersection of politics and pop culture.
Oh,
and at that time in 2015, it was considered novel because, these are two different, sections of the paper and keep them apart. And as soon as I began to cover the beat, I realized you cannot talk about politics without talking about culture. And usually the way culture is moving, politics will follow. So it's really important to have a grasp of both as you try to make sense of the world of politics. And so that was the start. And then I think for years I was trying to do both. And then I just was really drawn to having conversations just with the creatives, making the creative work that shaped the world as we know it. And I had to tell myself that was okay. I was drawn more to those conversations. I was drawn more to arts coverage, and I was drawn more to the richness that creatives brought when talking about the things that they've made. And, I think coming up in a newsroom like NPR, you kind of just are quietly told that kind of stuff and those kind of conversations are less important than the quote unquote hard news like politics. But I knew from my time covering politics, it's actually both, and both are great. I always think of this Toni Morrison quote. She was asked in an interview something along the lines of, well, you only write Black books. Is that enough? You only write books about Black people. And she said in a much more eloquent way.
The things people said to Toni Morrison.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But she said in this very eloquent way, it's quite possible to cover all of America and tell the entire story of America just through stories about Black people. You can do that, right? You can tell the entire story about America through telling stories about women, or just about queer people, or just about entertainment. There are so many ways into unpacking the story that is our country and the world. And I was excited to try to do that through popular culture. I also had this thing happen to me where I became middle-aged. And all of a sudden, yeah, I'm 41 now. And I'm 41. I know. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I found myself in the position of being considered someone who has their finger on the pulse, but also feeling like I was aging out of the core demographic, which is, we still know it, 18 to 35.
Yeah.
But I realized all of that unease that I had, most listeners to public radio had it too.
Yeah.
We're interested in the world. We're interested in culture. We want to be up on things. We're also not Gen Z. We're also not maybe TikTok first, but there's a way in a world in which we're part of that cultural conversation, and we can bring a certain kind of expertise and perspective to it because we've been around long enough. I'm at the age now where every time there's a new trend in popular culture or entertainment, I can tie it back to a thing that I was experiencing or loving 20 years ago. That feels great.
There has to be some reward for still being upright and respirating at this point, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. But yeah, so like now it's like I'm able to have conversations about pop culture and entertainment that do a few things. Um, they are looking at culture across generations. I'm looking at creatives and what they make and the ways in which they hope it changes themselves and people who consume the art. And what I hope to really do at the end of the day is for every episode of my show to have listeners leave feeling a bit lighter.
Mm.
I am convinced that I'm not saving the world. But if my show can offer a piece of comfort or solace or an aha moment or a laugh or a good cry to the people who are saving the world, I've done my part.
It is needed. It is so needed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like the other thing I love about what you do with the show, and I guess what I've always loved about a lot of your interviews is like there are shows or video pods or whatever that are focused on entertainment and pop culture, and they sit there and they tell you about all the things that are cool. If it's a little better quality of show, maybe they tell you this is cool and this is cool and this is cool and this is maybe why. And but then to just not have it be about someone telling you what's cool, but just sharing takes in such a way that we all understand that we have that we have relevant takes. It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you. And I think so much of what I want to understand about the entertainment that we consume is how it might change us and how it might change the people that have made the work themselves. When I can get a creative to reflect on the ways in which the art they make makes them different or better human beings, that is a type of conversation that is bigger than pop culture. It's about being human. And I think that we have entered a moment where it's really important to remind all of ourselves that we're human, that we're human, right? On any given day, I open my phone and I can't be sure what's real. Is this AI? Is it not? Is it slop? And I want to have conversations that remind us that the creativity and humanity of the human spirit cannot be replicated. It can't.
I mean, could you describe for me your relationship with the idea of tastemakers? The reason I'm asking is like in the before time, in the pre-digital, like we
Mhm.
had DJs, right? And
Yeah.
there was always that one kid in school who just always looked perfect.
Yeah.
And people to sort of show us how, or maybe it was like an older relative who was really well dressed or something, or the guy who worked at the video store or whatever, who he'd probably make you feel bad about it, but he'd really turn you on to some stuff that would be super cool. And like a lot of the reason I felt like I got into radio was not because I wanted to be a tastemaker, but I wanted to, because I really did not feel qualified. But I wanted to have access to all the things that those people did. I wanted to know what they knew.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we're in this incredibly self-curated time when we're not just, we're not just like having stuff fed to us on Spotify, but like as you pointed out in a recent cast, like there's stuff you can get on your phone that can help you, remix your latest favorite song in the way that you see best. Like,
Yeah.
do you ever miss having tastemakers, or just like
It's a double-edged
that
sword.
mold?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that for the longest time, as much as it was soothing and reassuring to have tastemakers who would tell you what was cool, um, for the most part, the people who were the tastemakers, it wasn't an adequate representation of everyone around, right? I think of institutions like Vogue. For
Mhm.
decades, they told everybody what to wear, which on the one hand is easy, but on the other hand, their view of what was the right thing to wear and who should wear it and how they should look, it was so narrow and so limited. And so with the explosion of the internet and social media, you get to see all different kinds of peoples and bodies wearing different kinds of things. And that is great, but also part of me still wants somebody in charge, if that makes sense.
An
So that's
adult
the
in the
double-edged
room.
sword. An adult in the room, and you know, we've seen with this democratization of tastemaking and gatekeeping, it isn't just a democratization. It's made everybody a critic, and it's made everybody an expert, which I'm not sure is good for culture or for art. Because the one thing you had when you had institutions like Vogue that were in charge of their spheres of influence, if you were going to be at the top of that kind of institution, you had to know the history of fashion. You had to know how your industry worked. You had to know and have an expertise grounded in practice before you could be that expert. That feels like it's eroding, and that is a little scary. And it means that we're now in this world where when I do actually want to have a critical voice of expertise that has a definitive take on a thing, it's harder to find. It's less supported by newsrooms, and it's hated online. I think about movie critics and music critics.
Ugh,
We need them.
yes.
We need them for the arts. And you go online now, everybody hates a critic. If
Yeah.
you're a critic who works at an institution, if you give a review that is not kind to somebody online's favorite pop star or favorite movie star,
You get buried.
you get
Yeah.
buried. I don't like that. I think that what I want, and in a perfect world, we have a pop culture and entertainment that rewards expertise, but is not too clicky. That's aspirational, I
Mhm.
know.
So maybe just some of the internets, maybe not all of the internets.
Yeah.
Of
Well,
what
and it's funny that you mentioned that. I think, and what I feel coming, and when I do talk to young folks in my life about how they experience the internet and the culture through their phones, they're tired.
Yeah.
And more people are looking for ways to check out of the endless stream and the endless scroll. And I think the thing that I'll be watching for the next few years is the distinct and direct practice of people taking culture out of their phones. How can I enjoy culture and the world and other people and art with other people? IRL meetups, events, concerts, festivals, whatever. I was so heartened this past week. I saw some study that said that Gen Z is maybe excited about going to actual movie theaters again.
Oh,
Wow. I love it. I'm ready for it. I'm so ready for it. I think that we lose something when we don't experience the culture through the real world. It's possible to sit in your house every day and feel like you've got your finger on the pulse because your phone has it all, but it's not the same as the conversation you have after you've seen a really good movie in a theater and the credits roll and you look over at the stranger next to you and say, "How'd you like it?" I do that all the time. It
yeah.
is so much better than just watching a movie at home. And
Complete
so I think
strangers with
that
you.
is on the rise. I hope.
We have a few questions. Let's get to
Yeah.
them. And if you're out there and you have some questions for Sam, please don't be shy. Just type
Yeah.
them in under comments. Hello from Ypsilanti, says Lisa. Her dream interview: Sam Sanders and Jacob Tierney.
Ooh,
You were watching
I
Heated
can do that.
Rivalry, I'm assuming.
I sure was. I have
Oh, yeah.
so many thoughts on that show. Actually, we're going to next week most likely interview a Vanity Fair writer who has written at length about how even though Russia is very anti-gay, Heated Rivalry is a secret sleeper undercover hit in Russia.
Oh my
Yeah, pretty
gosh.
great. Kind of a heartwarming story. Yeah, Jacob Perney, I
Oh,
would love to talk to. I think that there's so many interesting threads and themes present in his story and the story of Heated Rivalry. You know, this show would not have happened without Canada. He
yeah.
pitched this show to all kinds of places in the US and everyone said, "No, I'm too
No, no,
gay. Can they
no.
kiss
Yeah.
later? This is weird." He took it to Canada. They said, "Yeah, let's do it." And only after it became a hit in Canada did HBO pick it up here. I think that for a while, and I've talked about this in previous podcast episodes before, for a while it felt like, particularly the movie industry, was losing sexiness, just like the act of being sexy. The Marvel superheroes got bigger and more jacked, but there was the sensualism on the screen was just lacking.
Nobody was really
And
smoldering. Like,
there
name
you
me,
go.
name me, who is the smolder of our modern
Who
era?
is the smolder? And you know what Heated Rivalry does? All it does is smolder. It
Yeah.
smolders and smolders and smolders.
Ugh.
And I think that alone is worth unpacking. The ways in which Heated Rivalry represents the increasing globalization of everything that we watch. That thread I'm super into. I watched
Yeah.
the Oscar nominations this morning more than ever before. International film is a powerhouse at the Academy Awards. And we're
That
in
should
this moment.
be a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even looking forward to Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl. He is a Puerto Rican star, but he's a global star.
Yeah.
And as an American, I'm having to come to terms, and we all are, with a world in which we are no longer the cultural hegemony. It used to be if Americans liked it, the world liked it. And now you look at things like K-pop and K-pop Demon Hunter, or the rise of Bad Bunny, or shows like Heated Rivalry. All of these things say that, we aren't in charge anymore. And I find that exciting. I find it very exciting. And I'm excited to see all of the new things that are going to enter my field of vision because of that reality.
You know what you have in a radio studio that you don't have on chat is a cough button.
Oh, coughing happens. It's okay.
I am so sorry, everybody. I had a little. I actually took a sick day today, but I was not going to miss this. This one. Yes, but I don't know, man. It feels like that was overdue. Having more of a taste of what everybody else was enjoying too. I have a lot of sports people in my life, and it's come to my attention through them that like the NHL now has Heated Rivalry hockey curious fans, like when Taylor Swift started going to Chiefs games and all of a sudden all the Swifties were checking out the NFL. Well, apparently there's all these Heated Rivalry fans who are checking out NHL games now, and the NHL this should not be a shocker. The NHL does not know what to do with them.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Yeah. But hey, here's the secret. Let them spend their money. How about that? Let them spend their money and say, thanks for coming.
Everybody will be happy.
Yeah.
Creighton notes, oh, wait, I did not know this, that Vibe Check started as a segment on the Jennifer Hudson show? Is that true?
We were on Jennifer Hudson's show a few months into the show's launch.
Oh,
we went on there once and did a really nice, fun chat with her about all kinds of things. That connection happened because my former co-host, Zach Stafford, he's also a Broadway producer who's won a Tony. And he won a Tony for his work producing A Strange Loop on Broadway. Another one of the producers who won a Tony, and this gave her the Tony that gave her an EGOT, was Jennifer Hudson. So they were work pals from the Broadway world. So Zach called in a favor, which was pretty cool. And it was so wild to be on a TV set. It was my first time on a TV set that big. I'm always blown away by how many people it takes to make TV. In radio, a lot of times, especially when I was in the field reporting, I was kind of a one-man band. But anything with TV or movies, it's like if you want to get a bottle of water, you need 5 people there, and they got to be union. It's kind of amazing. I love it.
Yeah. And it just really makes it a different experience. I mean, honestly, like that one-man band thing that you mentioned, like that was what I always loved about radio. But it's definitely more of a cohort when you're on set with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
You guys are doing select, some you guys are working in the video space a little bit more with Sam Sanders' show. Can you what's that been like? Do you feel like that's been an easy transition?
I think it's easy if you let it be easy. I will say the pieces of advice that have been the most helpful are kind of just like pretty plain, simple 101 things. 1, know where your camera is and know when and how to look at it. 2, don't fidget so much. It's hard because doing radio, especially during COVID lockdown when I was at home taping all my interviews, There were many times where I was taping those interviews and I was stretching in the middle of them and, moving around in my gym shorts and just gesticulating. You want less of that when you're on a screen. When you think about the people that you most like to see on a screen, movie stars, they got two things going on. They have big faces and they're still. When they're talking to you, they're just still. And all that you need to know about them comes through their face without having to do all of this. So learning to still myself has been the hardest part. In general, I want to make sure that I look a little better than I would going to the grocery store. But besides that, be still, enunciate, sit up straight, and don't watch it back if you're afraid of how you look. I listen to my
Or
show every
yeah.
week. I don't watch it. For those who want to
Or
watch it, Godspeed.
I mean, for some of us, it's like start a revolution, stop hating your physical presence. It's very
Exactly.
hard.
Well, and understand that we are existing in a moment in which the faces and bodies that are said to be the most beautiful, they're computer generated. When you
Mm,
see these people who look too good on Instagram, it's because they're filtered out. You know, our the way that we were never meant to see our bodies this much. We were never meant to be in screens this much. And even if you aren't putting a show on YouTube, you're probably on Zoom calls a lot. Isn't that crazy having to look at yourself like that? So I have to remind myself we weren't meant to see ourselves so much. And also, everyone looks weird. Everyone
yeah,
looks weird. It's just an
it's
issue of lighting and makeup. You look weird. I look weird. It's
well,
the people who look
nobody.
the best on screen have money behind them to look
I know
great
I'm
on
like
screen.
the 5 millionth person to observe this, but no one is symmetrical. Like nobody.
Nobody, nobody's symmetrical. Also, you can't compare yourself to people who have glam squads to make them look great on TV.
Mm-mm.
Just it's a matter of money a lot of the time.
Yeah. Somebody asked, in addition to NPR, where are you going for your news these days? This is a constant topic. I've just like my in this decade of my career, I'm just like constantly churning and trying to like 1 month I'll add two new sources and drop two and just like try to crank through
Mhm,
so I get a
mhm.
bunch of different voices. What's working for you?
Two sources I always go to. Oh, now I'm coughing.
Nope.
Excuse me.
Quite all right.
Um, I love the daily news show from Vox, Today Explained.
So good.
I know the hosts, they're friends, but also they manage to cover the most depressing news while also kind of getting in some laughs every episode. I laugh every episode on a news podcast. That's amazing. So that one for sure. And then just to get a good digest of what's going on across all news media, I really like Apple News. I
Yeah,
pay the $11 a month for
right.
Apple News on my iPhone, and basically they curate the best and most important news from all the big major outlets. So I read the New Yorker and the Washington Post and all the other places through Apple News. It's funny. I'll always rely on the New York Times, but these days I rely on them the most for a Wordle.
Hey, what
Yeah.
do you think of that? What do you think of that Domino's game they put on their pips? Have you given it a spin?
No, Wordle and connections. It's all I do. Sometimes the mini, never the big full crossword. That's too much.
That's too hard. That's too hard.
Yeah,
That's for
yeah,
like, I mean, there's NPR people and then there's like academics.
yeah.
And
Like Rubik's Cube people. I'm not one of them.
do you know, I was talking to, I'm a spelling bee girl, and I was talking to somebody. She
Wow.
says her husband, like, he won't use the hints until he's already hit genius level. And I just left the room. I was like, no,
Whoa.
no.
I quite often on Wordle, which is just guessing one word.
Right.
If I get stuck in the morning, I just keep it with me and I ask people throughout the day, what do you think? What do you think? Help me out. Help me fix this. I have a day to do it. It's a team sport for me.
I hope you're ready to have your mind blown because the woman who edits Wordle for the Times lives in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Tell
She
her
is,
I'm
she
her
is,
biggest fan.
I will tell her, like
Yeah.
when we had her on, like that was a huge segment for us. Her name is Tracy
Yeah.
Bennett. And
Oh, yeah.
it's like her like retirement career or something. And
Really?
she's so chill. And
I
like,
love
I
it.
feel like a lot of puzzle people are a little hyped up,
Mhm. Mhm.
but Tracy's just as nice as pie.
I love that.
Erudite wants to know, okay, so you went on a meditation retreat? I must have missed this
Yeah.
episode.
Silent
How,
meditation retreat.
Wow. How did you change after the question is, how did you change after the meditation retreat?
I think, I've been, it's funny, I started meditating during my time covering politics. It was the only way I got through. Every day on the trail, I would meditate at about 20 minutes. Then I kind of went in and out of the practice over the years, but being back in that retreat and kind of really resetting into it, it was a very straightforward reminder, and one that I'm hoping to take with me. It's very simple. Slow down, slow down. That's it. I'm only, it's very easy in the pace of our modern lives and email and phone and apps and Slack and this and that to constantly feel a little bit of frenzy as you go about your day. What the retreat reminded me and the meditation reminded me was that um, there's a way to center yourself and not be that frenzied, even when the world is frenzied. And you are best able to deal with the world when you're calm and centered, like calm. I think so much of the energy that I brought to my career when I was trying to climb the ranks was
Mhm.
one of frenzy. I
Yeah.
was nonstop. If I wasn't working, I was networking and I was on it and I was always going. And that's good for a season, but I'm at a season in my life now where the through line is how can I move through the world with composure and to the best I can, grace, because that is the only way to guarantee longevity. Also, when in doubt, shut up. If you don't know
You
what to
don't.
say, don't say anything.
Yeah. That's I
Go
mean,
read some more until you know what to say.
that's rule number one of being on the internet. You don't have to
Yeah.
react to everything.
You don't have to react to everything.
You'll be
It's okay
fine.
to be quiet. Yes. I say this as someone who talks for a living, but
It's
I'm
true
at this
though.
point now where I want to save up all my gas for when it's on the microphone.
Yeah.
I was one of those journalists who 8, 9, 10 years ago was tweeting all the time. I think this about this. I think that about this. Did you see this? Blah, 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 blah. And now, further into my career, I want all of that energy to be saved for the thing that matters, which is a thing that has my name on it that I put out into the world. Twitter never paid me.
Yeah.
Twitter never paid me. My show does. And so it's, yeah, like energy conservation, I think is a big thing for me now.
I
How
mean,
much energy do I have and where should it be applied?
they tell you like you're not a part of the conversation if you're not out there. And I'm really I think I'm questioning it too these days. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
yes, partly because I just read that book, Careless People, that the global
I
affairs
read it too. I
director.
loved it. Yeah, so good. So
What a
good.
hair raiser.
This is the Facebook tell-all that
Yeah.
makes you think a lot of new thoughts about Mark Zuckerberg, Sheryl Sandberg, and Facebook itself, Meta itself. It's wild. It's a wild ride.
She is telling tales. All
Yeah,
tales.
yeah.
But that, and also just like as the news becomes more and more acute, just like my show is a news show, but at the same time I feel like I have to ask myself, the eyes of the world are on Minneapolis right now. Does the world need one more person, piling on right there?
Mhm.
I think that's a thing too. So
Yeah.
are you able to keep a daily practice for meditation?
Yeah, this morning I got in 10 minutes. I try to do, if I have time, I'll do 20, but I make other things meditation. So if I'm good when I'm driving, I leave my phone in the back of the car because it still connects to the CarPlay with
Oh,
the Bluetooth.
yes.
And then if
Yes.
I don't have my phone with me, I just take whatever r- drive I'm doing, I turn it into meditation. Can I
Our
breathe?
meditation is highly underrated.
Yeah, exactly. Or like I count yoga and running as meditation. I count walking the dog as meditation. I try to leave the phone at home when I walk the dog. And I try to walk a little bit slower and just like feel each step. I'm such a hippie, but like that feels meditative.
May we all feel the steps.
Feel the
Um,
steps.
I wanted to thank you very much for your interview with Robin Javon from the Washington Post.
Yeah, I love her.
She's the fashion critic who's been writing at the Post for a really long time
Yeah.
now.
Pulitzer
And
Prize winner. First to win a Pulitzer for fashion writing.
So I've been reading her forever, and
Yeah.
like she really, I mean, I feel like she was having a moment when Michelle Obama was in the White House,
Oh
but
yeah.
honestly, she's just been, dicing up the goods for us all,
Oh yeah.
way
She's great.
before that. She was so good.
Thank
What
you.
what are there some other gets for the show that you were really happy with or that really lit something up for you?
Yeah, this will actually be in podcast feeds tomorrow and will run on stations over the weekend.
Ooh.
But as long as I've been into music, I've been a really big fan of an R&B artist named Raphael Sadiq. You might know
Yes!
him from his work in the 90s with Tony. You might know him from his solo career. But in the last few years, he's begun to make music for TV and film. And he just scored an Oscar nomination for the song that he wrote for Sinners, I Lied to You. This is a song that plays in the movie that summons the spirits and opens the juke joint and like brings on, the crazy plot. He wrote that song. So I had Raphael in studio with his guitar. He played the song for me and talked all about what it was like to make that song and to write songs for the likes of artists like Beyonce and D'Angelo. His story about the D'Angelo song that he co-wrote with D'Angelo was pretty wild. That's in the episode. It'll be out tomorrow. So that was just a cloud nine moment for me because I've been listening to him for decades. So that for those who listen to the show or check out my newsletter, y'all know that one of my favorite performances of the last year was Kate Hudson in that Neil Diamond musical Song Sung Blue. She
Mhm.
just got an Oscar nomination today. I love her performance so much. We're trying to get her. Fingers crossed. Emails are being sent. Prayers up.
Light a candle.
Light a candle. But yeah, besides that, I am entering what I call my annual playoff season. The two biggest things in my life right now are going to be the Super Bowl halftime show and the Oscars. And I'm just getting ready to have takes on those two things. And it's my happy place. This is my season. Yeah.
Do you like what Bad Bunny's been doing with the run up?
Oh, yeah. I
He's,
think that guy
like
can do no wrong. Yeah. Go
he's
ahead.
he's got okay, so Bad Bunny's the Super Bowl halftime performer this year, and I don't even want to get into all the flack that the Super Bowl got for choosing him. I thought he was an excellent choice, but
Oh, yeah.
he's got this whole like I'm sure it's his maybe it's his label, but like Apple Music has this whole road to the Super Bowl thing, and they've really been treating it as like the cultural event that it is. I can't decide if I love it just because it gives people some context, or if it really pisses me off because it's like just see him. He's really good.
He's really good. Yeah. This is what's so interesting about the way a lot of media looks at someone like Bad Bunny. There's this desire to like explain him whenever you talk about him in the American context. And it's like, well, one, he's American because Puerto Rico is America. And two, he is literally the biggest artist in the world.
Yeah.
He's been the biggest artist on streaming, I want to say for 2 years in a row. When you look at just pure streaming numbers for the globe, he is bigger than Taylor Swift. And so we have to start acting like he's new just because he's not from central casting. He's a big
Mm.
deal. He's going to have a great show. And I also think that more folks are going to like that halftime show than don't like it. There was a lot of hullabaloo when he was announced, but those voices are loud, but in the minority. The data on who loves the NFL is pretty interesting. We know that the core demo is older men 55 and over. But once you get past that, the demographics that express the highest allegiance to and like of the NFL, number one is Latino viewers, and number two is Black
Mm.
viewers. So
Mhm.
this idea that I think some people have that putting Bad Bunny in the halftime show is going to piss off all of the white people who watch the NFL. It's like those aren't the only folks who watch the NFL. And a lot of those folks are going to dance around too. And even the folks that hate the idea of Bad Bunny being there, they're going to watch too. They're going to
And
watch just to hate it.
honestly, like when you think about the truly memorable performances, like you remember the year Prince was performing and it was
Oh yeah,
raining.
it was
He did the
raining. It was
thing with the
purple
screen.
rain.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
And Kendrick, like let's it's
Hmm.
just mwah, mwah, mwah.
Yeah.
Why
Well,
would you?
also, yeah,
Yeah,
this is the
why would you
thing.
not?
People who say that they're so mad about football fans who say, I'm so mad about Bad Bunny, but where else are they going to go? Are they going to watch the other NFL? Where like this is the NFL has a monopoly. And so they could put whoever they want on that halftime show. and you'll watch it, and we will, and he'll be great. I'm sure of that. He'll be great.
I don't know, Sam. This could be the year for the Arena League.
Bring back the XFL.
Is there anything else that gets you? I hear what you're saying about needing to find your chill and inhabit it and save the goods
Yeah,
for the show. But is there anything else that's really getting you hopeful these days? I mean, there's a lot of people just looking for like any reason to crawl out of bed in the morning.
yeah,
And like for me, it's goofy stuff. Like I got gifted for Christmas. You remember The Stand by Stephen King?
yeah, yeah,
These two guys pulled together a bunch of writers, including like really cool people like Tananarive Due and
yeah,
who was on the show not too long ago, I think. And Josh, the guy who wrote Bird Box, he lives Josh Mallerman, like
yeah.
really super cool writers. And it's this collection of short stories in the world of The Stand. And
Uh,
you could not tear me away from that book during the week between Christmas and New Year's. It was literally getting me out of bed in the morning. Is there anything
yeah,
that's getting you out of bed in the morning these days other than the dog saying, "Dad, time to go"?
yeah, yeah. I have been kind of going back to things in the last few weeks. One of my resolutions for the new year, and I really don't even like to call them resolutions because I don't want to be that hard on myself, but I've told myself that an entirely acceptable resolution is just one of return, not looking for new things to do or new ways to improve your life, but looking at what has already sustained you and going back to it. So that has meant going back to some of the pop culture that I most love. I mentioned this on an episode recently. I had meditation expert and podcaster Dan Harris on, and we talked about what culture kind of fortifies us. And I talked at length about Aretha Franklin's gospel album, Amazing Grace. So the album itself is great. Her father introduces her. She's in South LA with a choir in a church. So just hearing that alone is enough, but watching it is magical. There's a concert doc where you just see the whole thing. And however you feel before you go into that situation, you're going to feel 3 times as good after it. Anyone needing to pick me up, I truly highly recommend go watch Aretha's concert performance, the documentary video of her gospel album, Amazing Grace. It's wildly incredible. You
Uh,
think you love Aretha Franklin, you're going to love her more once you watch this.
I think it goes without saying, like that is a much beloved cultural artifact in our part of the world already. But
Yeah.
oh
Oh,
boy,
yeah.
I didn't even
Yeah.
know there
But
was a doc.
yeah, it's a doc. It's so good. And then besides that, new stuff. I'm always excited when I see people trying out scripted content in short form video. I've seen a few short form sitcoms pop up on TikTok and Instagram over the last year or so. I forget the names of them, but there was one all about a young woman moving to the big city and having to deal with roommates, and they're crazy. But every episode was like a 90-second TikTok, and it worked. I think a big fear in LA where I am now is that as everything becomes video and everything is on demand and all these things change, the need for writing will just decrease. And,
Mhm.
and writers won't be writing and we'll lose that. I'm always heartened when I see young folks still using writing to express themselves creatively in these newer platforms, and it's still happening. So I like that.
I mean, it has been democratized, if nothing else. I feel
That's
like that
right.
kind of happened with comic books too. For a while,
Yeah.
there was this dark age in the 90s and early aughts when everybody was like, comics is dying, which gets said
Hmm.
about every 10 years. And then people
Hmm.
started posting stuff online, and it was like this renaissance started
Oh
happening.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Is
Yeah.
there anything else that like you want to preview for the show? Anything you want to tell us about to get ready for in the next couple months of shows?
Hopefully, if stars align, we're going to have a special episode around Valentine's Day where we just rank the best rom-coms of all time. It'll be nice and fun and silly.
I
And
love.
I will fight to the death and cheat if I have to make sure some kind of Julia Roberts project ends up at the top of my Mount Rushmore.
Oh man, I mean, can we just do like top five of that particular piece of the genre right now?
Right
I mean,
now, oh gosh, I'm still getting
yeah,
my list together, but I think that the queen of the rom-com as we know it is Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
never be a better one. And if I got to look at her body of work, I'm actually going to pick my best friend's wedding.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for
It's
not
her at her
saying
most
it. Thank
unhinged.
you. I
She was a
appreciate
felon in that movie. She broke the
it.
law, and we still love her. It's great. It's great.
Oh man. Sam Sanders, thank you so very much for, and boy, you dropped a huge bomb on us saying Raphael Sadiq is going to be on this weekend. I'm
Yeah,
like
I'm so excited.
running to make my
It's gonna
appointment.
be great. Yeah. No, thank you for having me. Thanks to Michigan Public. And just it's funny thinking back to my time in Portland and your time in Portland. I was such a scared little baby reporter, and everyone there, including you, was so sweet to me. I always
Oh,
tell folks I have never experienced a nicer city with better food. I tell you what, the rain is not great, but Portland's sweet. Portland's full of sweet people, and y'all were
yeah.
great to me.
I mean, these days I tend to, like fend off my out of state friends' questions about Michigan and say, you should come see. No, really, it's really fun. You should you should go to Detroit, come to Ann Arbor,
Yeah,
go up to the UP. But I have to spend a lot of time correcting misperceptions about Portland too. It is
yeah,
also
yeah.
still a beautiful city full of loving people.
It
Um,
really is, and lots of
every
breweries that allow you to bring your dogs there. It was a very dog-friendly city
yes,
when I was there. Yeah,
best
for what it's
part.
worth.
I was still waiting for the cat brewery. They had the cat coffee shops, but no cat brew
Whoa.
pubs. Sam
Yeah.
Sanders show, the Sam Sanders show is what a sentence. Is on Saturday evenings on Michigan Public. And of course, you can dial it in on the podcast. And of
Yeah.
course, this is made possible because of listeners just like yourself. Thank you all so very much. Look at that. Suzanne put the crawl on there. Saturdays at 7, Friday nights at
Yeah.
10 for you late nighters.
Amazing.
Sam, it's so good to see your face. Thank you for sharing your time and yourself.
Thank you. And thanks to everyone for being here. This was a blast. I really enjoyed it.
We did too. Everybody, thanks for being here. If there's any extra feedback, you can tell your friends that a recording of this is going to be online. I don't know exactly when, but keep your eyes peeled for it. And thanks for checking in. Bye, Sam.
Bye. Bye-bye.